Welcome to the inner arena. This isn't about motivation. This is about leadership conditioning. We're here to get our reps in on SWAG, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. So hit the subscribe button and let's get to work. So we're going to talk about the number 2 unseen enemy that fuels burnout. The number 2 is assumptions. Assumptions. And why does that fuel burnout? Because behind assumptions is fear, flawed element of thought appearing to be real. And fear is fueled by assumptions. And here's how I'm going to break it down for you. Assumptions is past driven, okay? And when you're looking at certain situations in the past, right, it creates this experience, this image in our mind that maybe wasn't so well, didn't go so good. And through that experience, it didn't really feel good. So what fear typically does, it tries to project outcomes before the outcomes even actually happen, before the event happens. And it prevents you from trying to go down that road and try to protect you. That's what fear does because of the experience that you've had in the past, right? In that experience, when you think about it, it wasn't such a good experience. So any inclination that you feel the similar situation is coming up and about to happen, guess what? Fear kicks in to try to prevent that from happening, right? And that's assumption. That's what I'm talking about. That's assumptions. So we we live through assumptions, right? Because we have certain experiences with individual situations. It doesn't matter in all aspects of our life. It does not matter. We have experience with that. And with that experience, there's an image. And that image that we carry, it was maybe a bad experience. And so the assumption is to try to protect us and anticipate that it will happen again. And that's where the fear comes in, and that it's flawed. And then, not to mention, that punk ass inner critic is riding shotgun, co signing on that assumption, right? And so the SWAG framework is here to kind of help limit the assumptions that we may be carrying: self awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. And here's how I would break it down. Let's say, we're all high achievers. That's why you're here. You're here to get that leadership rep in, that leadership conditioning, because you are a high achiever. And guess what high achievers fear the most? Failure. Because this is what we do. We we drive, we go, and we're always trying to find alternative methods to be the best version of ourselves as possible. But we cannot deny at times in moments the fear of failure, right? And as we have certain experiences where we failed, and those experiences forms a picture in our mind. And in those moments, when that's being that picture is projecting itself, it's creating a decision moment that we have to make, right? And that experience of failing in the past is hurt. It hurts. It registers. And so your fear tries to protect you from going down that lane again. Okay? And so that's what happens with the fear, and then it creates this avoidance. Creates this worrisome feeling. It creates this doubt. It creates this hesitation. And as you continue to think about it, man, that shit becomes draining. You're leaking energy. Doubt is present. Fear is present. Avoidance is present. And that's what I'm saying. And that fuels the burnout because of the fear, right? So the SWAG framework, though, The SWAG framework, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit, this is how you apply it. Okay. So the self-awareness piece of it, let's stick with fear of failure. Let's stick with that. Okay. You are excited about this opportunity, and that opportunity will, elevate you, whether it's work, whether it's, you know, personal situation, doesn't matter. Let's just say what's present is fear of failure. Okay. The self awareness is acknowledging and being able to recognize in the moment that you're going after this goal that you're hesitant. You're hesitant in that moment, right? That's the sign that fear is trying to, or an assumption, let's go there. An assumption is trying to create a certain reality that we have to be safe in this moment, right? So you pause. That's what you do. You pause for a second, you kind of worry a little bit, but the self-awareness is knowing that there's a hesitation that's happening in this moment. And so you question to yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's the hesitation? Where is this coming from? See, that's self-awareness. When you're able to acknowledge that, that's self-awareness. Okay, then the why power. What's my purpose in this moment, right? What's the bigger picture? You have this goal, but you're hesitant to move forward in this goal because you're anticipating that something might go wrong before it actually goes wrong. And you can easily be influenced by that. But the why power reminds you of what your purpose is in that moment. And so you put your energy on the purpose. Why am I even doing this in the first place? Right? Remember when you set out to this to achieve this goal that you set for yourself, there was a huge why behind it, a clear purpose to why you were taking these steps to go after this goal. But the fear distracts you away from that, right? And so with the why power, you you're containing that fear and pushing it down, supplanting it, and refocusing on your purpose. Okay, so that's the why power. Then there's the aligned action. Okay, maybe that action that you need to take in that moment is to just pause. Maybe you just need to get outside and go for a walk to really think through your next move, your next play. That's an aligned action. Maybe you need to revisit your goals and see how they are aligning and to understand what's off that's triggering the hesitation of fear. That's an aligned action. There's so many types of aligned actions that you can put into to support the self-awareness and the why power. That's what the aligned action does. And then there's grit, right? The bigger picture of this. Hell no, I'm not gonna quit on this goal. And you continue to propel forward because that's what grit is. You have the self-awareness, you have the why power, you have the aligned actions, and you know what? Hell no, I'm not gonna let anything stop me from achieving this goal. I'm gonna be determined and I'm gonna continue to see this through and push it through. I failed before and I'm gonna keep failing until I become successful. And so the thing about failing, it's not really bad though, right? Because within failing, there's opportunities to learn and grow. And if you look at it from that viewpoint, you're always growing. You're always growing. So if everything was always peachy and golden, then where are the learning opportunities? So you naturally have to go through the process of failing. You have to. You have to because that's when you learn. That's how you get better, right? But that's grit. That's grit. And understanding that, that's grit. And with that, you got swag. And when you can remember that you have swag and you go through the full concept of it, you just feel better. And it limits the assumption from being present. And then you just move forward. And so no one is immune to any of this stuff that I'm talking about. You're always going to be triggered. You're always going to have these feelings of hesitation and fear. That's never going to go away. But what I'm teaching you in this conditioning model of ripping our minds up is swag. Swag. And trust me, you got it. We all have it. I'm just here to remind you of it. So let's keep these reps going. Download my swag framework cheat sheet. Get that. Subscribe. Continue to get your reps in on these videos. Because man, I'm teaching some good stuff here. Not only that, come into the arena. Come into the arena. The links below, the subscribes are below. Hit all of that. Get your free swag cheat sheet framework. It's all good, and I'll catch you in the next round.